Hi guys, so today I'm going to be talking about deaf children in or born to hearing families. A lot of the times when a deaf baby is born, hearing parents typically safe to assume that they have had no experience and have no knowledge of the deaf community. So a lot of the times what happens is these parents will defer to what doctors will say is best. And a lot of the times, doctors are, we'll say, more medically inclined than culturally inclined, I guess, is the best way to put that. So doctors will push parents towards hearing aids, CIs, speech therapy, hearing schools, like just mainstream. They go with what the mainstream is. And this is often one of the worst choices for deaf children because from the very beginning they likely have no access to language. They don't have ASL because their parents don't know ASL and aren't told to learn ASL. They sometimes the devices, hearing aids, and cochlear implants don't always work to the best of the ability. It really depends on the individual and their hearing ability or inability. I've been told by an individual who has a ZI that they're really bad in group and crowd situations because it's the feedback from all the noise just kind of garbles and nothing is clear. So even if the CI does work in a group setting like a classroom, it's not doing what it's, I guess, advertised to be doing. And when kids are put in hearing school, oftentimes, obviously, if they don't have access to ASL, they're not going to have an interpreter. And even if they do have ASL, they likely still will not have an interpreter. So they have to work much harder than hearing students have to work in order to, I guess, stay at or even around the same level as their peers. And it's very autistic in a way. It's autism, not allowing someone access to something by not, researching or looking at all the options. Because I think even by now, if you are not familiar with it, you should still know of it. We have social media and Google. I think there are many ways to get information. Even if you're not comfortable in the situation, I would think you would want to do what is best for your kid. And unfortunately, a lot of times parents are misled in that. And a lot of kids are put in speech therapy where they learn to speak English and oftentimes lip read or piece together what they can hear from a situation. And while this is still access to English, it's not access to a language that they can consistently use and depend on in any situation. And this oftentimes leads to tensions between that family and their deaf child because you're sitting at the dinner table and you don't know what's happening at the conversation. Going to movies, they don't close caption theaters, so you're not going to know what's happening there. You're secluded while being surrounded by people, and mentally and emotionally that is very damaging is the only word that's coming to mind right now. And this is horrific for a lot of people, but unfortunately it's a common experience among the deaf community. A lot of deaf individuals have grown up with this experience, and because of these shared experiences that they have, a lot of the times, like, it'll make people in the deaf community closer. And we already know the deaf community is extremely close and welcoming and very loving. And so these deaf individuals have, like, their own deaf family within the deaf community that they're often closer to than their own blood family. Be it intentional or, like, ignorance, we are still seeing this in today's society, whether it's because you didn't know what to do and the doctor said do this, or sometimes people just don't want a disabled or a broken child, so they'll push them to be as mainstreamed and normal as possible. But because of all of this, you know, a lot of deaf individuals don't get access to, like, a real, true language, ASL, until they're older and they find their own way to the deaf community. A lot of deaf kids from hearing families are oppressed, and unfortunately it's a common experience.